want to start today with a thought that is, well, honestly, it's a little terrifying. We spend our entire lives building this thing called a self. You curate your tastes, you build your career, you pick your friends, you refine your opinions, you build this sturdy little house of I. And then one day you look in the mirror or you try to stand up from a low chair and you realize the foundation of that house is cracking.
I mean, that's the universal crisis, right? The betrayal of the biology that carries us.
Exactly. And we tend to treat aging as this medical annoyance. Gray hair, bad knees, grab the reading glasses. We treat it like a maintenance issue. But what if aging isn't just a biological glitch? What if it's actually an existential emergency? What happens to your identity, that self you build, when the vessel starts to dissolve?
That is a heavy way to open, but you're right on target. That's the question at the center of today's deep dive. We're exploring a really fascinating analysis from Between Ideas, which is this philosophical literary critique. And they've set up a heavyweight bout that I'm going to say I didn't see coming. They've taken two absolute titans of literature from completely different worlds and put them in a ring to fight over this exact issue.
It really is a transatlantic cross-cultural showdown. In one corner, represented the United States, we have the master of American realism, Philip Roth, and his novel, The Dying Animal.
And in the other corner, from Japan, we have the Nobel Prize winner Yasunari Kawabata and his novella House of the Sleeping Beauties.
It's such a fascinating pairing because on the surface, you couldn't pick two more different books.
Oh, not at all. Roth is loud, aggressive, secular, and sexually explicit. Kawabata is quiet, dreamlike, and incredibly subtle.
But our source argues, and I think they nail this, that these two books are mirror images of each other. They are both stories about elderly men who are absolutely terrified of the end, and they both try to solve that terror using the exact same tool.
And that tool is young women.
Young women.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about standard romance novels here. We're going to unpack how these characters use these women, and I think use is the right word, as what the source calls temporal mirrors.
Right. They aren't looking for love. They're trying to reclaim a version of themselves that is slipping away.
It's a look at the masculine self threatened by extinction, as the source puts it.
And what's brilliant is that by comparing them, we get to see two completely different cultural strategies for dealing with death. The aggressive American resistance versus the silent Japanese acceptance.
So let's get into the ring. Let's start with the American side. Philip Roth. If you know Roth, you know he doesn't really do polygram. And his protagonist, David Kepesh, is, well, he's a piece of work.
He certainly is. David Kepesh is an intellectual, a cultural critic, a man of words. But in this book, he is defined by a frantic, almost panic-stricken vitality. He's a man who experiences aging not as a natural process, but as a personal insult.
The source brings up this really interesting concept about Kepesh's worldview. It talks about the societal message of aging being. To be old means you were. Past tense. You're done. You're history. You're a statue in the park.
Right. Society tries to push the elderly into the rearview mirror. We tend to think of identity as something that belongs to the young or the middle-aged, but Kepesh just violently rejects this. His entire worldview is, as long as I am alive, I am a being. He believes he has the right, maybe even the duty, to continue his desires, specifically his sexual desires, exactly as he did when he was 30. He refuses to retire from his own life.
It feels like he's protesting his own biology. Like, if he sleeps with enough women, he can vote no on death.
That is actually a perfect way to put it. For Kepesh, awareness and sexuality are tools of resistance. He thinks that if he stays hyper-aware, if he stays in the game, if he keeps pursuing these young students, he creates a buffer zone.
A buffer zone against what exactly? Just the feeling of being old?
Against decay itself. The source explains that he wants to place distance between his consciousness, which is still sharp, still hungry, and his rotting body. He wants to feel independent from the decline. It's this sort of Cartesian dualism gone wrong. My knees might be failing, but I am still a player. I'm still dangerous.
But that's a delusion, right?
Yeah.
You can't outrun your own cells. You can't negotiate with gravity.
And that is the tragedy Roth paints. This illusion inevitably collapses. The source uses a phrase that really stuck with me to describe the reality Kepesh slams into. Objective ferocity.
Objective ferocity. Wow. That is chilling. Sounds like a predator in the dark.
It is. It's the idea that nature doesn't care about your philosophy, your tenure, or your libido. Nature is ferocious and it is objective. It treats you like biomass. The intellectual defense, this idea that I can think or screw my way out of being old, it just shatters against the physical reality. And this is where the character of Consuela enters the picture.
Right, Consuela, she's his student, she's Cuban, she's beautiful, she's 30 years younger than him. And usually in a story like this, the girl is just scenery.
Or a trophy.
Exactly. But here she is a symbol, a very heavy symbol. The source describes her as a symbol of loss and finitude.
Kipesh is obsessed with her body, specifically her breasts, which he sees as this perfect, eternal geometry. He worships them because they seem immune to time. He anchors his reality to them.
But then the objective ferocity kicks in.
Yes. And it's a cruel, cruel twist. Kipesh is the old man. He's the one supposed to die. He's the one watching the clock. But Consuela, the symbol of perfection and youth, gets breast cancer.
Talk about a metaphor. The very symbol of forever starts to rot.
Exactly. Her illness is a massive psychological shock to him. It's not just sad, it's existentially terrifying. Her death, or her impending death, confirms the fragility of everything. It proves that days are irretrievable. It forces Kipesh to confront the limits of the body in a way he can't intellectualize away.
It's almost like the universe is mocking him. He's trying to use her vitality to stay young, and instead, her mortality drags him down.
Precisely. Her loss makes his desire to cling to life even more urgent, almost desperate. He realizes that no matter how much vitality he performs, the exit door is approaching. So for Roth, aging is a brawl. You are swinging punches in the dark until the lights go out. It creates this immense psychological pressure on the reader.
It's very American. Rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle.
It is. It's the refusal to go quietly. It's the ego screaming, I exist, until the very last second.
Okay, so that's the noise and the sweat of the American perspective. It's intense. Let's fly across the Pacific and look at the alternative. Let's talk about Yasunari Kawabata and House of the Sleeping Beauties.
Prepare for a complete shift in atmosphere. We are moving from the scream of Roth to the whisper of Kawabata.
The premise of this book is, well, let's be honest, to a modern ear, it's alarming. We have a character named Iguchi. He's an old man, and he visits a secret establishment where he pays to spend the night in bed with young women.
Yes.
But, and this is the key detail, the women are heavily drugged. They are asleep the entire time. They never wake up while he is there.
Correct.
Now, I have to be the one to say it. That sounds incredibly predatory. It sounds like a horror movie setup.
It absolutely does. And the source emphasizes that we shouldn't shy away from that discomfort. It is disturbing. But the source argues that to understand the book, we have to look past the crime of it and look at the philosophy within the text. Because the atmosphere isn't one of assault or violence. Iguchi isn't allowed to do anything to them.
There are rules.
Strict rules. No sexual intercourse. No waking them up. It is a setting of absolute silence and contemplation. It's not a brothel in the way we understand it. It's almost like a museum of youth.
So if he's not there for sex, and he's not there to talk to them, why is he there? What is he buying with his money?
He's buying memory.
Memory. How does that work?
Think of the sleeping woman as a screen. Because she is asleep, because she has no personality, no voice, no agency in that moment, she becomes a pure vessel. The source says, each young woman holds the silence of what the old man has lost.
That's poetic, but break that down for me. What is he actually doing in that room?
He lies next to them. He listens to the rhythm of their breathing. He smells their skin. He feels their warmth. He sees the texture of their hair. These sensory inputs trigger vivid, overpowering flashbacks. He remembers loves he lost. He remembers his mother. He remembers versions of himself that no longer exist. The girl is the catalyst.
So he's using them as a time machine.
In a sense, it is existential reclamation. He is retrieving his identity. He can't relive those days physically. His body's too old, too withered, but he can relive them existentially by being in the presence of this dormant youth.
It's a very different dynamic than Kipesh. Kipesh wants to possess the woman to prove he is still here in the present. Iguchi wants to be near the woman to prove he was there in the past.
That is a brilliant distinction. Kipesh is fighting for the now. Iguchi is drowning in the then.